Hello everybody, it's Vertical Sandwich. Welcome back to Book Reviews. So, I'm out here in the screenhouse. Like, it's fully remodeled now, we finished that. And last week we did a book that was not a Hugo Award winner, we did a book I just like. So, but this week we're actually going to go back to Hugo Award winners. So, this is... Frederik Pohl's Gateway. It was the winner in 1978, the year before I was born. This is a 41-year-old book. There we go. So, seated among the stars are troves of valuable artifacts left behind by the enigmatic, long-vanished alien race called the Heechee. For the right price, anyone can climb aboard one of the abandoned Heechee spaceships, cast off on an autopilot voyage to parts unknown, and take a chance on finding wealth, or facing death. Robinette Broadhead took that chance and walked away a winner, but at what cost? Despite living a millionaire's life of material luxury, he's haunted by crippling despair and the dark secrets buried deep in his psyche. With the help of his computerized psychiatrist, the truth about what happened out there could set Broadhead free, but only after a personal journey more terrifying and ultimately more devastating than his last fateful trip into space. Okay, so that's a tantalizing kind of description of what happens in a novel. So let's talk about the novel itself. The premise of the novel is that, yeah, for the right amount of money, you can go to an alien space station where there are just these ships, and you can sign up for missions, get in a ship, press the go button, and it just takes off, and it takes you somewhere. And if you make it back, if you found something valuable, you get something like 10% of it or 30% of it or something. I don't know. The contracts are in here. Like the book is interspersed with things like pages where it just shows contracts for signing up for this stuff, or launch availabilities, if you see that. Or at one point, just, I believe, the computer code from the robot psychiatrist is just in here, because this is what they thought computer code would look like, and for a while it did. Computer code did look like this at one point in time in our history. Trust me. And some people never come back. Some people come back badly injured. Some people come back finding nothing. The book actually goes through the statistics of what your chances of kind of hitting it big are. But the premise is, this is from the point of view of somebody who has hit it big and is back on Earth and is trying to deal with exactly what the price they had to pay for that was. And this book is great in a lot of ways. It's great in that it develops a character you really care about. It goes through a lot of the kind of tension of the situation these people are in, where they know, that they're signing up for their lives. There are some other things too, like they talk about out on a journey, you know how long a ship has for fuel, and so when they're accelerating at faster than light speed, they know that if it hasn't dropped out of light speed in a certain time, then they will have to start rationing, otherwise they won't be able to get back, and then they know after a certain amount of time they're dead. And stuff like that. Details like that are just brilliant. It's just a brilliantly detailed novel. Now, for the novel format, it's a little interesting. Half of the novel, every other chapter of the novel, is this guy's life going to the space station and kind of signing up for these voyages and kind of what his life was like, kind of things he saw. Up until the kind of conclusion where you see exactly what happened to him. The other half is him reliving these things with his psychiatrist. So every other chapter, it's like the first chapter is a psychiatrist chapter. So I'm going to read you chapter 3. We're going to go into chapter 3 and read that. And this is a psychiatrist chapter. The psychiatrist's name is Siegfried. Siegfried never closes off a subject. He never says, "Well, Bob, I guess we've talked enough about that." But sometimes when I've been lying there on the mat for a long time, not responding much, making jokes or humming through my nose, after a while he'll say, "I think we might go back to a different area, Bob. There was something you said some time ago that we might follow up. Can you remember that time? The last time you The last time I talked to Clara, right? Yes, Bob. Siegfried, I always know what you're going to say. Doesn't matter if you do, Bob. What about it? You want to talk about how you felt that time? Why not? I clean the nail of my right middle finger by drawing it between my two lower front teeth. I inspect it and say, I realized that was an important time. Maybe it was the worst moment of my life about. Even worse than when Sylvia bitched me, or when I found out my mother died. Are you saying you'd rather talk about one of those things, Rob? Not at all. You say talk about Clara, we'll talk about Clara. And I settle myself on the foam mat and think for a while. I've been very interested in transcendental insight, and sometimes when I set a problem to my mind and just start saying my mantra over and over, I come out of it with the problem solved. Sell the fish farm stock in Baja and buy plumbing supplies on the commodities exchange. That was one, and it really paid out. Or take Rachel to Merida for water skiing on the Bay of Campeche. That got her into my bed the first night when I tried everything else. And then Siegfried says, You're not responding, Rob. I'm thinking about what you said. Please don't think about it, Rob. Just talk. Tell me what you're feeling about Clara right now. Try to think it out honestly. Siegfried won't let me get into TI for it. So I look inside my mind for suppressed feelings. Well, not much, I say. Not much on the surface, anyway. Do you remember the feeling at the time, Bob? Of course I do. Try to feel what you felt then, Bob. All right. Obediently, I reconstruct the situation in my mind. There I am talking to Clara on the radio. Dane is shouting something in the lander. We're all frightened out of our wits. Down underneath us, the blue mist is opening up, and I see the dim skeletal star for the first time. The 3-ship note was a 5. Anyway, it stinks of vomit and perspiration. My body aches. I can remember it exactly, although I would be lying if I said I was letting myself feel it. I say lightly, half chuckling, Siegfried, there's an intensity of pain and guilt and misery there that I just can't handle. Sometimes I try that with him, saying a kind of painful truth in the tone you might use to ask a waiter at a cocktail party to bring you another rum punch. I do that when I want to divert his attack. I don't think it works. Siegfried has a lot of Heechee circuits in him. He's a lot better than the machines at the Institute were. When I had my episode, he continuously monitors all my physical parameters, skin conductivity and pulse and beta wave activity and so on. He gets readings from the restraining straps that hold me on the mat to show how violently I fling myself around. He meters the volume of my voice and spectrum scans the print for overtones. And he also understands what the words mean. Siegfried is extremely smart considering how stupid he is. It's very hard sometimes to fool him. I get to the end of a session absolutely limp with the feeling that if I had stayed with him for one more minute I would have found myself falling down into that pain and it would have destroyed me. Or cured me. Perhaps they are the same thing. So, this book does kind of deep-seated psychological pain really well, and sci-fi really well. It's great, and it's a short read. This book clocks in at 273 pages, but considering some of these pages are things that you can just classified, I need your courage to go for a $500,000 plus bonus. Don't ask me, order me. Like, it's classifieds. It's just classifieds that are posted on a board in this station. Yeah, and the book is divided into small chapters. I mean, I just read you a complete chapter. So its pace is very fast. It's a very... I loved it. I loved it. I loved Frederik Pohl's Gateway. And I think you'd also like it. It's a nice light sci-fi read with really heavy undertones. And there's something very fun about that. Now, what else do I want to say about this? Oh, okay, so 1978. For 1978 sci-fi, it's actually pretty good. It feels very modern. There's nothing very dated about this. I really like kind of that aspect of it, because there's nothing worse than like picking up a book from the 60s and being like, clearly this is a book from the 60s. And sometimes they do that. So, not this one. Loved this book. Really kind of liked what it got into. And I can't really say a lot about it because I don't want to spoil what happened to, what is his name? Robinette Broadhead. I can't really spoil what happened to Robinette Broadhead, but it's amazing. It is so amazing. The payoff at the end of this novel is so great. Tantalizing. I'm trying to tantalize you into reading this. Let your curiosity get the best of you and go to Amazon and order this book. Order Gateway, have it shipped to your house, or to my house if you're still planning on breaking into my house. That was a thing. Or have it mailed to your work, or to your school, or to somebody who you haven't seen in a while with a note. Like, also mail them a note that says, "Hey, I have something coming to your house. Please bring it to me," and then you can hang out, and you'll have solved the fact that you haven't seen them in a while. But this is available wherever fine books are sold. I don't even know what that means. I really don't. It's just a thing I said in the first video, and now I have to say it like every video. And you should buy it and you should read it because it's good. And I will see you for our next book review, which is one of these 4 books sitting over here because I'm going to try to get 5 done today. It is early August, and I would like to get us into September. So I'll see you guys for that. Bye, everybody.